Welcome back for another video. This one is going to be one that I've been asked before, mostly on Discord, sometimes in the comments on the videos, essentially asking what are my top units personally. Um, I've got some. I think it's hard to narrow it down to five, so I'm sort of going to do a top 10 because I just feel like there's some units that sort of cover the same. I don't know how to really word it, like the same slots in terms of what they achieve, so it feels like I'd want to mention both. So I'm going to start the list with basically Terrence and Ram. Terrence honestly has taken me from the beginning of the game all the way to here, and he's basically a whole team in one. And he is not an LS unit, he's a forest unit. He is incredible for a forest unit. He's an assassin that is tanky, that does damage, and heals, which is amazing. And he's good from the get go. He's going to get you through quite a lot of the game, so I would really recommend going for a Terrence. And as you all probably have seen if you watch my videos, that Terrence is one of the units that you will see me feature in almost every battle. Even now with some um, new units that I've acquired, he's still a primary feature. And a lot of the compositions that I work with facing the multiple bosses, Terrence is going to cover at least one of those as the main assassin and one of the main damage dealers. So he's top up there. I will say that Ram is also someone that I will argue that at 10 star at least, he's quite similar to Terrence. I've beefed him up a bit with runes to make his power a bit higher. He's in my artifact, same as Terrence. I'm going to get this up as well. So he's got stuff to help him be strong, and he's doing more than well for me at the moment. But I want to put them together in the same sort of light as for a lot of free to play people or low spenders, you're most likely going to look for 10-star light or shadow units based on how lucky you are with things. Maybe some gems that you throw into Portal of Prey, some lucky pulls from the seeds. So that is something to note, that you're probably going to get to 10 stars and it's going to cost you money then to get to 11. And I think he's more than good at 11, at 10 stars. So I'm going to put him together with Terrence. The real MVP here, though, is Terrence being so good for his type. He's not, the light shadow assassin or the ranger or something. So he's amazing. Next one I want to talk about is tanks. I will say my personal favorite tank of all is Lionel. If you watch the skin video, he's got a skin coming, but he's just an amazing unit. I've got some runes on him with some defensive stuff. He just lasts a long time. He does a little bit of damage. Is not what I really go for. He's not really there, but the fact that he can hold his own in every battle. Whenever I go in for a huge fight, he's at the front. He's the one doing all the tanking. He's tanking 10 million sometimes, 15 million. If they're like heavy attack damage focused compositions, he does a really good job. But I'm also not going to remove Cardalin. Cardalin, I think, is just a great unit as well. I find him to be able to tank longer, for longer, than my Lionel does in um, in like Guild War and stuff, and Arena potentially. He just does a lot, as well. Lionel does a lot, he does a lot. They do it in different places, but generally both are really, really good. I would probably still prefer Lionel in a lot of battles, but Cardinal is really, really, really strong. So he's great too. The next one I want to talk about is Diana. Diana is actually my strongest unit. I don't know where she's getting all the power from. Don't even ask. I don't even know. She just got more power than every other unit I have. So maybe she's just generally strong. But she's got her silence, which is amazing into some units like shielding tanks or Margaret for reducing her healing. She's great for that. She's also does a lot of damage. There's times where she's top in the charts, even though she's just a really strong unit. I'm also not going to ignore Liv, who, because of the possibility to repeat campaign stages, she can do quite a lot with her ability. She petrifies a lot of them. So Liv, I'll put up there as well. Maybe not as high as Diana, but she's still up there. And In this, I think from design and how easy it is to work with them, I think they are easier to do consistent damage. But Tell is probably one of the harder hitters out of the three, so he's up here as well. I'm not gonna go as much into him though because I still feel like Diana and Liv I generally can use more often and find more specific uses. Tell more so for stuns and stuff. All of the ranges in the middle tier are great. So that's that. Margaret, she's on a league of her own. I'm not gonna include LS because I don't actually have any LS priests. But Margaret is basically an LS unit. She heals for a complete shed load. She revives. She's basically a go-to if you have a Ram or a Terrence, which a lot of people will have Terrence. But if you have a Ram or a Terrence, she's always there. She's always got her ability on the Terrence, unless you have a tank like Eric who could use a revive, or Renaud maybe. I don't know. Yeah, just she's amazing. She's a great unit, and I will put her, really high up as well. Then I'm moving to an LS unit, which I feel like a lot of people will know is great. It's Felix. I will say I like him mostly for the random CC that he does with the stun, but more so for the backline removal. If you like Terrence and Ram and Gar, the fact that he then hits the AoE to the furthest set of opponents on the other side is amazing because you can line up your assassins to dish out AoE damage with both Ram and Terrence, and then he proceeds to just AoE them down for a massive amount of damage. So he's great. Next, I'm actually going to talk about a bit of a niche MVP. Is a bit different, which is going to surprise some people. But my niche pick for MVP is Griego. Griego is one of those units that I feel like doesn't get much love. I think for good reasons. Generally, you don't want to build him early on. You don't even want him in the mid game. In Guild War, he's okay. It helps in some situations, but in campaign he can be such a lifesaver because he provides energy off the get-go, which means that if you have units like Terrence and Ram who need to proceed to shield themselves up to survive and provide AoE damage when your tank dies, Griego just does so much. I can't begin to say, like, there's so many moments where I put him in and he just wins the game for me. I wouldn't recommend you build him just for the sake of building him because you have the copies. I think wait until late game and then build him, but he's for sure one of my niche MVPs. And the last one I want to talk about here is Flora, who I think for a lot of people it does count a bit like a budget version of a bit like a budget version of Margaret because you usually put it on your assassin, but generally she is pretty strong, and I would not sort of put her down because she's gonna do the job for you. And I don't know if all of them have this much health. They do, but yeah, she does well. She does well, and the damage will surprise you sometimes. The reflected damage is nuts. And actually, before I go, I will also like to mention a different kind of top 10 unit, Derby, for always letting me down. I built Derby, but very rarely. I think for every other DPS unit, I see times where they shine and completely delete stuff. I haven't seen her do that yet. I'm going to try give her the equipment necessary to power up, but so far it's not been great. So to run it through, I think Terrence is my top unit, and I'm going to leave Ram out as well as Felix, because most people can't relate to these, and if they can, just know that they're up there. I think Diana, Liv, Tell, and Felix share sort of a spotlight in terms of just really good ranges. Especially at 10 star, Felix should take a step back, so he sort of evens out with them. Yeah, I think Terrence, Diana, Liv, Tell, Margaret, Lionel, they're all sort of in that big bunch of top units, and I feel like if you're gonna level up units and you're looking for what's good, those will not let you down. So that's gonna be me for my top 10 units. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I have my free-to-play guide for best units, so check that out if you want to know my opinion for all the other units if you've seen this video without seeing that. The only change since then has been Darby has entered basically into about the middle tier, and Frode has gone up a bit because he's just a bit better now in late game after some testing. So those are the two units, otherwise it's still valid, so check that out. And yeah, take care, thank you, bye bye.